Madam Secretary, the one issue that you didn't hear today was the letter of good standing.
I was just going to say that. Shh, stop.
Okay, sorry about that.
Darn it. I was going to kill my punchline. But no, go ahead. Anyway, so it's wonderful to be with you all. Good afternoon. And particularly to be with my colleagues in government. And what the speaker said is absolutely true. You know, we're all here, and even those that aren't because of, you know, the personal reasons cited, we're here because we care, because we are listening to you, and because after this, we all go back and actually talk, you know, across silos, believe it or not, and talk about how we can work together to do what we all want in this room, which is to have a better state, to have a better economy. And so it's a pleasure to be here today. And Mark, you know, I don't know, 2 more years. We need you for at least 5 more.
That's Dion, that's Haywood.
Wait.
You said Mark Dion. You mean he's retiring?
No, I thought you were saying that you're only doing this.
2 years, that's it.
I don't know. Well, somebody will have to fill in some very big shoes. No, because this is a really important forum that we've been able to participate in. But before I get too far along, because I get really excited in the work that we're doing, I just want to do a little shout out here to not just my staff, who I know you know, Maureen Ewing,
yep,
and of course Amanda Caetano, who's my small business guru person, but also a newer person of my team who you may or may not have had a chance to meet, Deputy Secretary of State Melissa Husband. Melissa, can you stand up so people can see you? So business services reports to her. They all work together as a team, and it's wonderful to have Melissa on board. So we've had a fairly busy year since I last spoke, but let me address a few of the things that were discussed. So starting with the thing that caught my eye when Cap spoke about investing in the political process. And I must admit that there were 2 reasons why that came up, but that's all right. But from the civic engagement piece of the work, you absolutely should be engaging civically with your government. And no easier way than to go to vote.ri.gov, where you can find out who your senator, who your rep is, and find all sorts of things about your government. And I say that also for your employees. And I will do one small pitch. Tell your HR people, or if you are the CEO and HR person, that if you have an employee who's changing address, they should be going online. If they're already on our voter database, go online and you can just seamlessly change your voter address so that we can keep clean voter rolls and continue to get people to engage in the process. So that's my little civics pitch for the business community. Now with regards to other efforts, advocacy, lobbying, we've made it a lot easier for you to engage with your government, I think, because we've streamlined the definitions of what it means to be a lobbyist and when you have to register and when you don't. And overall, what I want and what I know those of us in government want is to hear from you. So don't be afraid. You can look it up on our website. If you have any concerns, if you think like, oh my gosh, like I can't, you can absolutely testify. We've cleared a lot of the misunderstandings, I think, in the old statutes where we had 2 different types of lobbyists and all that, and made it much easier for people to understand that we absolutely want to hear from individuals in the business community and the social service community all across Rhode Island. The lien process. The Department of State, I'm very proud to say, has engaged all employees in lien training. And so that has been a really wonderful thing that we took from one of the early conversations of this summit. And it's part of our onboarding process now to train new employees in lien as well. So you will find that you know, that process is alive and well. And we've also been training our staff, because I think one of the big gaps in government sometimes is that we tend not to invest in our human resources, which is are the most important part of our budget. And so we've done not just professional development, but also cultural competency trainings, so that we are better serving the customers that come to our desk either online or at the counter. And speaking of online, I will say that access by differently abled individuals is also a big issue for us. And so we have taken on working with national groups that work on accessibility through the web, for example, on our voting websites, to make sure that when we program something, that it is truly accessible to everyone. And then finally, with regards to the small business census, we have started sort of a smaller census of types by asking businesses as they go through the annual report process to give us, a few data points. And this is, I think, part of what the Department of State needs to be doing with regards to, if we're servicing you, let's provide you also with some information. But we can only do that if we capture the right information. So people would come to the Department of State and tell us, okay, how many veterans-owned businesses are there? Or how many, businesses with X number of employees or whatever? Like, we didn't have any of that kind of information. Now we've started this pilot with the idea that we can be that, because we are that place that everybody pretty much comes to in state government, we can then provide you with important information for what the economy is doing. Now, and with regards to the two main points that I came to bring you good news on, one is letters of good standing, which nobody brought up today. Isn't that great? Look at the progress we've made. We did pass a bill, thanks to the General Assembly's support and the governor's support, that basically eliminated the vast number of letters of good standings that are required for dissolutions. And this is meant to just streamline processes and make it back to making it easier for our customers to do business in the state. And so it was a big source of frustration. We listened to you, and I know that the governor's people did a lot of work on their end through taxation. And I think that that's something, it's good to celebrate the good stuff too. And then with regards to regulations, I do bring an update on the Administrative Procedures Act, and this is a joint project between the governor's office and my office. We have probably about definitely more than halfway through the design phase of this new website that will provide you with very easy to understand regs and information and easily searchable. I think there's two frustrations here. One is, yes, absolutely, the number of regulations and what is the burden itself. But in order to understand what that burden is, you need to understand what it is that we're requiring you to do as state agencies. And so my office is trying to help in that communication in two ways. One, by making sure that any regulation that's put forward is put forward in plain English. I mean, there are times when a business needs to hire a lawyer. It shouldn't be just at the very beginning. And so let's make it easy for people to understand. And this website will be monitored and will be edited, if you will, as the agencies are uploading their information. They're given very strong training on how to write things so that you can then search that database as well in an easy way. Because what we found at the very beginning of this process is that not only were there a lot of regulations that were very difficult to understand, but then there were all these like shadow regulations that weren't actually there. And but people have always been doing it that way. And so this has been a massive cleanup process that should be then able to get us to that meat of, okay, now that we know exactly what it is that we're asking with regulatory burden, what can we take out off the table? Because there was a lot of misunderstanding about what exactly was required and what isn't and when. So that project is going really well. I'm proud that it's being programmed by my own State Department employees. We're always testing it out with people, both the agencies who are our customers on one side and then the business community on the other. So you'll be hearing more about this. But we're having 2 statewide training sessions for all agencies and 23 additional training sessions for 14 individual agencies that we've had over the past year. So we're moving right along, and I see some of my colleagues from ORR, and they've been very helpful as well. And so it's a group project, but it is a massive undertaking. And I think we're almost there. I really do. And we'll be able to really hit on the substance of what needs to be done. So thank you very much for your input, for your time. I know that you're all running your own businesses, and this is, on top of everything else and your personal lives. And so I can't tell you how much I appreciate it, how much time you're giving to us with these insights. Thanks.
Thank you, Madam Secretary.